people. Hope everyone is good. Yeah, low block right above my head. This video is about that. There's a lot of conversation about the low block. You know, we can't break it down. What do you need to break it down? I spent the last 3 years in and out probably working on a low block. Some successful, some unsuccessful, but learning from the unsuccessful times. Against low blocks, played against low blocks, you know, for university, and then done low blocks for university and got good results from doing it. Done a lot of scout report, a lot of analysis reports based on low blocks and how to be effective in low blocks and how to break them down. So here's the Leeds one. Let's get into it. Here's a situation. This is Gruv's shot. Now, what's frustrating about this? We go out wide early, right? We go out wide to Solomon early. Ball comes back into Gruev. So they're stretched because we went out early, which is good. That's step one. And people are asking, how do you break them down? How do you do it? There's many ways. There's many stages to it. First of all, you have to feel the opponents out. First of all, you've got to ask yourself this. Will they be baited out? The reason you go slow in these areas across the middle is just to see if they will press you, if they will come out, because that's when gaps appear. You have to learn. You have to understand what they're going to do, right? You're doing that through the game. We went wide early. Humphreys went tight to Solomon. That's one thing we should have learned. And what came from that was a big space quickly. Now, that's how you break a low block down. It's about the space. You have to somehow manipulate the pitch, the width, to create space between a line. In this case, it's between the centre midfielder who drops deep on Aronson and the fullback who's very tight to Solomon. That's how the space is there. Now, the problem is, and stage 2 is good, Aronson recognises space, and this is a key aspect of this. Recognising space, which Aronson does, right? Solomon is kept width. This guy doesn't know whether to stay or go. Aronson's recognised the space. Gruev isn't on the same wavelength. It's too slow. And when Aronson's moving, everyone else is reacting to it. It's not instinctive. That's the problem. Aronson recognises there's space behind. But Gruev isn't set, as you can see, to provide that pass. He's looking more infield at 3 versus 6. Whereas this is the obvious space. We've gone wide and created this space. But initially, when Gruev gets the ball, Aronson hasn't made the run. They're on different wavelengths. They're not thinking the same. And this is early. So again, this is about learning where the space is. So it's not always going to be great. Aronson makes a run. But Gruev at this point is thought that Aronson isn't going to make the run. But he does. He does it very quickly. But then he stops. He makes the run and stops. He doesn't commit to it. So then Gruev takes another touch. And the second he takes another touch, that allows Humphreys to now sit narrower, Kaliosha on Solomon. And now there is no spaces. Our middle players here, 1, 2, 3, have still not reacted or made any movements. The space is now shut down. There's nowhere to play through. So now Joseph comes to feet in here. Gruev gives the ball to Joseph in feet. Around 4 defenders. We eventually play it back to Ampadu and look at the position now. That's where you're in a bit of trouble. Because there's no space. And the only person in the team, for me, who can maybe find a pass, and the only person who can maybe find a run through this back line, Nonto can make the run, Aronson can find the pass. Nonto's really wide. Aronson's not facing the block, he's against it. This is where Aronson needs to be on the ball for me. All these positions in these spaces is Aronson. Because he's shown in this game, and I'll show you why. He can be the one to provide that little pass and find the run of a Nonto. We went from a really promising position, and this is really split second. You have to be quick. You have to be decisive. We went wide, created a space. This is where, even if Aronson hasn't made that run, the striker has to be on it. Someone has to recognise the space, anybody. But we're not on the same wavelength. We're all a bit static. It's Then we go back to Ampadu, and now look. But Ampadu finds a pass into Solomon here. Firpo makes that run. And again, it's split second. Solomon's 40 is cut inside. Maybe a little touch on. And it's into Firpo in this area. It's very tight, but it's going to be. But if you can just break this line, you've got the space to do whatever you want with it. Players run in the box, create a goal. These are the margins. This is how good you have to be. What Solomon does, which is fine, he cuts inside again, and this is where he needs to shoot. Because he's capable and he's got that in the locker to whip one in that top corner right there. He's done it against us. He's done it in his career. But what he does is he hesitates and he passes it out wide here to Nonto. We pass it back across, and again, look at the position. There's no spaces, there's no gaps, there's no runs, there's nothing he can do at this point. Gruev has a shot, goes straight to the goalkeeper. There's moments in this, and it starts here. The second we went out wide and came back inside, that's when every single player has to recognise space. The guy on the ball has to have the bravery to do it. Not only that, they both have to be on the same wavelength, thinking the same thing. And they weren't. Space is there. Aronson recognises it, but after Gruev recognises it, Aronson goes into it, but then Gruev's looking over there now. So Aronson stops, and now Gruev's took another touch, looking for something. But by this time, they're covering the spaces, and there's no option. So we give the ball to Solomon in a really tight area, who should shoot here, but Nonto drops off and gives it out there. And then at this point, we're screwed, and we have a shot with 8 men between the ball, which goes to the goalkeeper. You've got to be quick, you've got to be decisive. That's how you break them down. That's step 1. Low block 2. This is the difference. Now look what we've done. We've gone wide again, which is good. This time, Aronson is the guy wide, but he's deeper. What that's doing is, it's dragging Koleosho out of these areas. So there's no overload out wide. And it's created a space. Gruev's dropping off, Ampadu's dropping off. It's creating space here for either Solomon, Mateo Joseph, or Nonto to drive into. That's because Aronson's vacated it. There's no one in it. And they're clearly man for man here. Right? So there's no one covering that space. What we do here is good. I like this. This is where Aronson is key, and this is where he's the key man to break these things down. Because he recognises space and he does things quickly. He's not always the best executed, and that's something he needs to improve, but he's thinking about it. And I don't think the others are as much as him. Aronson gets the ball. Now look, Firpo's kept his width, which means Koleosho has to go to Aronson because he's dropped wide. You know, the centre mid isn't going to vacate this area. So Koleosho and Aronson, which means Humphreys is now a 2v1. Which means, what's he called? I forget his name. Anyway, the centre-back for Burnley is now going, do I go to him? If the centre-back for Burnley goes to him, there's space here for Mateo Joseph. He can't commit to him because there's loads more space for Solomon to turn and drive. This is good. You're on a 3v2 out wide. That's what you like. That's what's good. That's what causes confusion. That's what drags them around. Usually, it was a situation where they had a 3v2 out wide because Koleosho could sit deep because we didn't have an Aronson out here. When Aronson decides to drop deep, it creates a 3v2 in this position, which confuses him. Who do I go to? Who's my man? Estev's thinking, if Mateo Joseph goes, do I go with him or do I cover centrally? So if Estev here, Mateo Joseph makes his run in here, Estev goes. Nonto's drifting in. This is good. This is about one player just dropping out, looking in front of him, recognising the picture. It creates space between the lines, which Solomon is in. Our problem here is Mateo's movement's not good enough for me. He's a young man and he'll learn this. Aronson plays the ball into Solomon. Now, look at the spaces. Solomon's first touch here, he can do 3 things. He can let it run and drive into this area. He can drive inside. Or he can look for Mateo. and do a 2-1, a 2-1, a 1-2. Ball into this space to Matteo and a ball through for Solomon because it's still a 2v1 technically. Matteo's movement isn't good enough. And watch Aronson. Watch his anticipation of where the ball's going to be. This is where he is a key man in this team, and he's not going to get dropped because of this, in my opinion. Good touch by Solomon. Entices this defender. Worrell, that's the one. Which creates so much space in any of these areas. Matteo isn't ready for the pass. He's not making a decision of where to move. There's a lot of good things Matteo did in the game, and I'll go through two of them in a minute. But in these situations, I don't think he's learned yet the little intrinsic movements he has to do to create those spaces and them little combinations. He's better in transition, is Matteo. His movement is great in transition. But in tight areas, it's not there yet. This is what should happen. Solomon gets that ball. Matteo should drift off Esteve quickly. Do it quick so that the defender can't react. He does that quickly. There's a ball through to Solomon, who's doing a 1-2. 2 in the movement versus 1 defender. Big spaces, big opportunity, because that's a huge space. How often have you seen Burnley with that much space between their centre-backs? Matteo has to learn, and you look at Matteo here, in this position, behind the defender. This is where he's got to anticipate the space is here. Matteo has to anticipate that. Solomon gives in the ball. It's got to be here. What happens is, he's got to be there. Esteve reads it first. And as you can see, Solomon's there. He's on the line. He's ready. Matteo's got to be ready there. That's where he's got to be on it. But look at Aronson. Watch him here. Boom. Luckily, the move works the way we kind of wanted it to in a different way. And this is where the second movement's really good. And this is where Aronson is vital in this side right now, to be honest with you. Because no one else is doing this pass. Aronson recognises the space. He recognises the loose ball, where the opportunity is, and he gets it. Look at everyone else. No one's really anticipating this. Aronson is. Look, he's ready. Koleosha's off. You know, Koleosha's off. Hannibal's off. Brownhill's not. Even our players, really. Grave doesn't really know. Aronson's going, it's going in there. I'm going to go get that. And he does. Now, accidentally, Matteo Joseph's movement of following the defender who got to the ball first, which should have been Matteo, actually drags the defender out. Which just leaves, as you can see, Esteve here is in front of the defensive line. Which just leaves Nonto's quick, sharp movement and a quick, sharp pass create a 1v1 situation in which Nonto has to score. It's a good move. We got lucky in the sense that the defender read it and we should have gone more direct. But the second movement was good because Aronson was on it and Nonto was on it. And this here just allowed, because Aronson is sharp and he's quick, he got to the ball before Esteve could drop. Which meant there was a space behind the centre-back. And Nonto's exploited it. And it's a great pass. No one in the team is doing that. No one is recognising the space like Aronson is. No one is giving that pass. He did it in pre-season, the exact same thing, and Grove scored from it. I remember. He's done it two or three times this year. Aronson's a bit raw in terms of the execution of these things, but if he can really clear these things up, he will get 10, 15 assists. And the strikers have to finish. Because you have broke down the low block here. You have 2 opportunities to do it. Showing you the first half, 2 opportunities. That's good. Breaking down a low block twice in a half is good. If you do it anymore, they'll stop doing it. They won't play a low block because it's not working. Right, they've had 3 1-on-1s, right? What do we do? Right, we're not going to stick to it, are we? Do you know what I mean? Got to score. Final one. This is more transitional. It's the same premise. It's the same idea. When you get the ball transition, Ampadu threads it through to Joseph, who again, it's the same movement. Remember, Esteve was off the defensive line? Look at Worrell now. He's not in line with the back 3 defenders, which leaves this space. Joseph does well here. This is what he should have done before. Joseph anticipated Ampadu is going to give that ball into him. Joseph anticipated it, that ball's going to go boom. It leaves him just a little bit of space between him and the defender to thread a ball through to Aronson, which he should have done previously, right? And that's what I mean. This is transitional. And he's better in transition as Matteo. But he does what he should have done before. But this is good. So what he does, gets the ball here. Look at Nonto, he's always ready to run off that back line. Gives the ball to Aronson. There he is, off the defender. Worrell is out of the picture because Matteo Joseph dropped deep and he tracked him. And better pass here and you're in one-on-one. But it's the right idea, and it's Aronson again recognising the space and giving that forward pass. It's Aronson again. Of course, it's not a great ball. The pass is too light. It's not in his path really, and the defender reads it and gets in front of him. However, this leads to this. Second ball, good. Solomon anticipates it. Clear penalty. My point is with a low block, and this is the kind of the final bit that I want to just talk about the low block. First of all, you've got to see the opponent. Where could the potential spaces be? This is where the coaches work with the analysts, and you can see the whole pitch. Say the space is here, the space is here. How can we exploit that? We did it 1 or 2 times, didn't do it enough. Stop doing it. That's the worry. You do that, and the second one is patience. This is why I'm not annoyed about us moving the ball. If it's quick and it's patient, you're waiting to see if they can be baited out. If they can't be baited out and it's not having it, right, this is where you need to be more creative. This is where you need your risky players who can make those passes to try. Players have to make the run and players have to make the pass. It's quite simple. If there is a half gap between the centre-back or 2 centre-backs or the full-back and the centre-back, someone has to make the run in there and a guy has to play the ball through. You have to take the risk. Or you can get in a situation where you can create 3v2 out wide or a 2v1 out wide or even a 1v1 out wide to cross it. But we're not really that team. So we don't really have the guys in the box who are that instinctive to get on the end of crosses, apart from maybe Joseph. We have the guys to be creative though, and Aronson is a key part to that. People need to realise that teams will stop doing low blocks when you've broke it 4 or 5 times and it's not working. Theirs was good. They've had 2 whole weeks to work on it. And as someone who's worked on low blocks a lot, it's hard to break down. We've won games at uni. We won games against teams in the high leagues against us, or teams that were unbeaten because we played a good low block. And we had a dangerous counter. We were clinical. And we took the most of set-piece situations. We don't do that because we simply do not have the people. Another thing at uni, we did not have the people on corners. We just simply didn't have them. We could work them all day. We were never going to win a header in the box, so it didn't matter. We just made sure we could maybe feed on the scraps and just literally put everyone in the box, apart from maybe 2, and just play it in and just go for it. That's what we did. You got to work what you got. Not great at set pieces. You should have bought someone who's good at set pieces. It's quite simple. You should have bought 2 or 3 players who can head a ball. You know. But we stopped doing the things, and that's what's annoying. The low block is tough to break down. That's why teams do it. I have to keep clarifying that. It's not a thing that's easy at all. Teams do it so much against all the top teams. All top teams do it against other top teams. It works if it's good. No low block will be as good as Burnley's. It won't be, because no team will have as long to work on it. They had 2 whole weeks, and I think only 2 of their 11 weren't there working on it all summer. That's a lot of time to do a low block. And there's this metric that we didn't break. We struggled to break them down. Almost every team played it against us last year, and we broke most of them down. Maybe bar 2 or 3 teams. Even Blackburn. People mentioned Blackburn. I was there at Ellen Road. I was there. We broke it down endlessly. We just couldn't finish. We had absolute clear chances. That was one of the worst games in terms of finishing I've ever seen. I was right there. If a team's playing against you, if you break it down 3 or 4 times a game, which leads to clear chances, you have to finish them. Especially a good one. I've been in that situation. If you're not clinical against them, that's on you. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. There's stuff to work on there, clearly. The manager and the team need to work on that. It's a communication thing. It's a wavelength thing. It's the striker knowing which run to make at which times, where the ball's coming, understanding, repetition. We've got a good whole week at training, which is a good time, finally. A full week with a full squad to work on these things. Going into Cardiff, the excuses now in terms of we've not had the training and stuff, which is fair. I've, again, been in situations where you've got a game on the Wednesday, and Monday you've got training, you've got 8-9 people there. Right, brilliant. 4 or 5 of them usual starters. What the hell are you meant to do? But now's the time. You've got a full week. You're prepared. You're ready. Preparation's going good. No excuses. Poor side. These are the games you win now. This is the run you go on now. The next games won't need to be wins, and we've got to be ready for it, and we've got to use our team because we've got some top players there. But yeah, Aronson has to play and has to start because of this reason. See you guys in a bit.